Just making sure it was me, so I didn't sit in somebody else's seat.
Okay. We're going to continue now with our drivers here in the Media Center, Samsung Media Center at Texas Motor Speedway.
I like the skulls.
And Matt Kenseth is our points leader. The reason he's our points leader is he's got the most wins of any driver in the series this year. He's got 7.
I thought you were going to say the reason the points leader is because he has the most points.
Well, you actually tied with Jimmy, but the tiebreaker goes in your favor because of the wins. And Matt drives the number 20, Home Depot. Let's do this, Toyota. And Matt, just talk about you're coming down in here, stretch run, 3 races to go. Just talk about, what your thoughts are as it pertains to that.
Yeah, obviously happy to be the leader, even though it's really a tie. And we got the tiebreaker. I'd be more happy if we were the leader, and it was 3.5 weeks from now. So we still got 3 races to go. Glad we're still in it. Looking forward to the challenge here the next 3 weeks, and hopefully we can go out here and run away. I know we're capable of running and run up front and get a good result Sunday and keep rolling.
Take questions. We'll start with Nate. We'll go to Ed.
No questions? All right, thanks, guys.
No. We'll start with Nate. We'll go to Ed, and then we'll go to Jim.
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Last week, Matt, Jimmy was talking about the battle that you and he had here at, I think, 2007.
Yeah, he beat me. It still makes me mad.
He's talking about how he knew he could trust you, and even though you guys were racing as hard as you could every lap. Could you talk about what you remember about that battle and about how that kind of signifies the way you guys have kind of always raced each other with respect and everything?
Yeah, there's been a few races here where I've been leading right down to the end and got beat, and so I was disappointed. This is one of them. That was one of them. The other one, Jeff Burton beat me on the last lap. There's been a few of them. So, I always hate to be out front and get beat. Similar to last week, because I always feel like as a driver, you beg your team to get you in that position. Then when you can't hold on, you feel like it's on you. So yeah, I do remember that day. He was faster, ran us down. I think he was leading the points. We were pretty much out of the championship battle at the time, or realistically out of it. I guess mathematically we're in it. So man, I raced him as hard as I could, figuring that, hoping that he would be a little bit cautious and I'd be able to win the race and hang on, but I couldn't. He did everything he could and beat us. So yeah, I do remember that. It was a heck of a race. I hope to turn the table someday and be able to beat him. He's beat me on a couple of them real late. Beat me on a Las Vegas one time, passed me off 4 the last lap when we led all day, and beat me in that one. Still stings. He actually has that picture hung up somewhere. I saw you were doing a TV special on him once, and he had that picture in the background of him crossing the finish line ahead of me. So yeah, I remember that. Hopefully we can turn the tables and pull off a win on him toward the end someday.
Is there something about this place that lends itself to those one-on-one battles? Because you mentioned you had one with Burton, and last year it was Kez and Johnson, and it was Tony and Carl, I think, the year before that.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I think every circumstance is different. Every race plays out, a little bit different. Obviously, if you get, like last year, Brad got out front. He did a spectacular job. Was the only car on 2 tires, and the guy on 4 tires was catching them. So that lended itself to an exciting battle for the win. Because he had the fastest car, behind the car who was backing up a little bit. So I think any racetrack, any race, that's how you create exciting finishes and exciting racing is by separate the field a little bit. You gotta, the faster car catching the slower car is what's going to create passing and an exciting race. So it's just those circumstances, had that where we're fading a little bit, and he was better at the end.
We'll go to Ed, we'll go to Jim, and then we'll go right here to Carlotta.
Ed Hinton, ESPN.com. Matt, obviously for you and Jimmy, 1.5-mile tracks are a strong point. Seems like maybe at this track and the Gen 6 car the last few races, maybe he's run a little bit better than you. With the strides your team made for you at New Hampshire and at Martinsville, do you think that y'all could come up with a setup and some strides forward that would maybe leapfrog you ahead so that you could maybe wouldn't have to duel him, that you could just flat out run him here?
Well, that's the goal. The goal every week is to go out and figure out how to outrun another 42 drivers and figure out how to try to win the race. So I really feel like when we've been at our best, I really feel like at pretty much all the tracks except for the road courses, which we'll just put that 100% on the driver. I feel like on our best days, we've been competitive everywhere. Obviously, we've won some mile-and-a-half races. New Hampshire was good for us. Martinsville was really good for us last week. So I feel like when we're at our best and we hit it right, we can run pretty good anywhere. So, but you have to be able to prove that every week, and every week things change and things are different. So. So to answer your question, I mean, I hope so. I mean, that's always the goal, but, man, they're pretty good. They're pretty good everywhere. And, certainly Jeff kind of creeped back in the picture last week, and there's still, I think, 5 cars that are fairly close within striking distance if somebody has a problem. So hopefully we can go race hard and get a result this week and, keep it rolling.
And everybody's talked about how clean you've raced them here. The obvious question you guys hate to hear, but we have to ask. With a points battle going on like this, comes down to another duel like that, does your racing them clean stand regardless, or with so much at stake, do maybe you race them a little harder or rougher than before?
Well, I think you always race as hard as you can, especially when it comes down to a win, comes down to that last run of the day, comes down to obviously a championship. I think you always race as hard as you can, but at the same time try to be as fair and as clean as you can. So, I mean, I think you always throughout your career, you find out, you make mistakes, you learn from them, all those kind of things. But I think if you try to race people the way you want to be raced, it usually works out both ways. So, the goal is to always get your car running good where you can go pass and you can go outrun another guy, not worry about that. People ask me a lot of questions at Martinsville about, cars, being roughed up and doing all that stuff. And I was like, man, usually when you see, Jimmy, Jeff, Denny, those guys that win there all the time, their cars sitting in victory lane hardly ever have a scratch on them. So I think that's the goal, is to get your car working better than the next guy so you can just pass them.
Let's go to Jim, Carlotta, and then Bob Pockris.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer. You made, you made 2 really big changes in the offseason. One was to go to a new organization, but as much as we know the success in this sport is dependent on a good relationship between driver and crew chief, you also got a new crew chief. I wondered, now this far into the season, if you could talk just a little bit about what, if anything, you knew much about Jason, and what have you come to learn about him during the course of this year?
Well, I mean, I knew of Jason. I really didn't know a lot. I didn't know him personally at all. I don't think we ever really, more than just kind of seen him or saying hi or something. I don't think I really knew him more than that. Talked to him for about 5 minutes, when we made the announcement, and then went to dinner with him one night. And other than that, until the day after Homestead, I didn't really talk to him a lot or get to know him a lot. So certainly not talking about racing or race cars or anything like that. So I think whenever you get to meet new people in general, and especially getting to work with them too and build new relationships, you always learn a lot about each other. And from what I knew about Jason and just the feeling I had, about him and watching him work and how he goes about his business and all that, I thought would be a good fit. But you never really know that, until you get down into it and get working together. So certainly I've learned a lot about Jason. He's obviously a huge factor, a huge key, in our success this year. He's the head coach. He's the guy who I guess not literally in that organization, but he's the guy who runs the team and takes care of the guys and communicates with me. And he's obviously a huge key to it. He's a hard worker. He's really, really smart. Got a lot of common sense. He's got a cool head. He commands a lot of respect. He does a great job leading that team, and we become good friends. And obviously, I really love working with him, and love going to the racetrack with him. Well, I didn't really have, not really, because I didn't really have any preconceived notions with any of it. Really with any of the group, with Jason, with the organization, or anything. I honestly went in there with a totally open mind. And just try to get absorbed into the system a little bit and try to absorb it a little bit and try to learn everybody. So, I guess I expected, to run good. I expected the team to run good and all that. But I guess if there's a surprise, I probably didn't expect him to be that good, and for us to run, as good as we have, and for our communication and stuff to be what it is. So really, after our first test in December was probably the big eye-opening day for me. We went through that test, and then we met up and talked for a couple hours about it, and it was just we have a lot of the same same ideas and kind of the way we would like to approach things and work on things.
Go to Carlotta, Bob, and Dustin. Go ahead.
Hi, Matt. Carlotta Schmicken, Hill Country
Oh, you're
Happenings.
in front of me, that's why I didn't see you.
You have a teammate in contention in this chase. Is this an advantage to you, or do you feel it's a disadvantage?
Well, neither one as far as where you necessarily are in points. I always feel like the better your teammates run, of course you want to beat them, but the better that they run and all that, the more it helps you. I think all three of us want to help each other, and I think the better we all run, the better it is for the whole organization. We have more data to look through, more information to talk about, more things to ask them about and work together and all that. So certainly when all three of the cars run good, I think that's good for all of us.
And at what point in the race, say tonight, you're right up there at the front and Kyle is right up there at the front with you. At what point in the race do you just forget Kyle's teammate?
When they drop the green, I think you always try to not put your teammate in a bad situation. You try to maybe show them a little extra room on the track, that type of thing. But really, when they drop the green on Sundays, it's 1 against 42. I think being a good teammate is way more about during the week, during test sessions, during practice, during debriefs. Working together, doing all that kind of stuff, trying to help each other. If you find something, try to help all three teams with it. Information, that type of thing, more so than it is on Sundays during the race. I don't think there's a ton of team racing that goes on, even in plate races anymore. You try to work with your teammates and try to help if you can, but it's a little different than it used to be. And certainly when you get out here on Sunday and they drop the green, you're trying to you're racing against 42 cars.
Let's go to Bob, Dustin, and Jerry Fraley. Go ahead, Bob.
Bob Hucker, Sporting News. Jimmy often talks about his haters, and I'm curious if you've felt any vibe from either fans or the garage that people are rooting for you because they're rooting against him, and do you feel any sort of maybe guilt, or not necessarily guilt, but just is it weird to feel that knowing that Jimmy's kind of a friend of yours?
I don't know that I've really felt that. I think you're always gonna have people that are hopefully you always have people that are your fans, and you're gonna always have people that aren't your fan, and there's gonna be people that wish you success and people that wish you don't have success. I think that's just normal. That's kind of sports. That's the way it goes. I think when somebody wins as much as they win, you probably got people that like to see somebody beat them, and there's some people, and then there's other people that like that. They like to cheer for the dynasty, and they like to see the same guy and team dominate. And then there's people that cheer for the underdog. So I think that everybody likes something different. If everybody just liked the same driver and the same team and whatever, that wouldn't be real exciting. So I don't know. I haven't got a feeling like people walk up to you and wish bad things on somebody else or anything like that. But I've got a lot of people walk up that makes you feel good, that say they're pulling for you and they're happy you're doing good and that kind of thing. And then you got others that probably aren't.
All right, we're on a little bit of a time crunch here. We got three more: Dustin, Jerry, and then Carlos.
Man, strict.
Got a schedule to meet, young man. Go ahead.
Dustin Long, Motor Racing Network. Matt, when you had the crew chief change at Roush after the Daytona 500 with Drew, certainly, that was shocking and how quickly it happened. Shocking for Drew, but he talked about hearing from you later that day and the email and talking to him and how important it was in kind of maintaining the friendship relationship that you guys have. Why was it important to contact him? What did you want to kind of get across at that point? Because obviously, something wasn't right, something needed to be changed, and that was certainly an abrupt thing. It would have been easy to, for you guys not to talk from that day forward.
Well, I think throughout life and certainly throughout the sport, you create a lot of different relationships, and you make friends and you work with people, and sometimes it's hard to separate that. It's always hard when you become friends with somebody and you work with somebody and you have some success together and you have some hardships together or whatever, and then for whatever reason you kind of break that up or whatever. You still want to maintain friends with those people, and I've never been a good person at managing race teams or figuring out what I need there. I'm glad other people do that. So, yeah, I mean, in Drew's case, I have a lot of respect for Drew. He did a great job. We won a Daytona 500 together. We won the second race of the year together. There's just that particular case, there was a lot of other factors that went into it. As far as the team and organization at that time, it wasn't really just about him and I. Him and I got along fine and worked together fine, and I still got a lot of respect for him and think that he's a really smart guy, really hard worker.
Let's go to Jerry, and we'll end with Carlos.
Jerry Fraley, Dallas Morning News. Jeff Burton will have less of a presence next year, maybe no presence at the Cup level. Can you envision what that's going to be like not having him around?
It's different. I thought about that a little bit when I went to Roush. Mark Martin and Jeff Burton were certainly two of the biggest influences, on my career, and probably modeled a lot of my, driving style, things on the track, things off the track, off of Mark and Jeff. Those were the two guys. Those are the two guys that I look up to. Those are the guys that I ask for advice, ask for help, all that stuff. So certainly, as you see, the calendar pages keep turning and things change, and when some of those people aren't around on a weekly basis anymore, it's certainly different, and then that you're getting closer to being that next tier, so certainly that's different. Jeff's had I think he's still got a lot more good racing ahead of him, but he's had a heck of a career, and he's been a big influence on me, a big help to me, along with Mark Martin. And I don't think Mark's going to be around on a full-time basis anymore either next year. You never know about him. He might be, but he probably won't be. So that's different for sure.
Final question, Carlos.
Carlos Mendez, Forward Star Telegram. Matt, you and Jimmy are obviously friends. Do you know what button to push on him on the track or off to gain an advantage?
No. Hey, Jimmy. I got something funny to show you in a minute. Nah, I'm not really, it might change, from his end if we're still in all the way to the end, but I'm just not really into all the head game. I'm not smart enough to be in the head games and, insults and some of the stuff we've seen happen over the last few years. I'm just really not. My brain is over capacity already with trying to figure out how to make my race car fast enough to beat the best, so, they always say if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man, and he's always definitely been the man. So, really just trying to concentrate on that, trying to figure out how to make our car fast enough to go out and be able to compete with not only him, but the rest of the field each and every week, 'cause it's a competitive group.
Thank you very much, Matt,
All right.
and
Thanks.
good luck this weekend.